वेलकम टू ऑल। आज हमारे थर्ड थर्ड डे में सेकंड सेशन 11 से 11:30 में हम यहाँ पर लेक्चर सुनेंगे। इमोशनल एंड फिजिकल वेल बीइंग आर इंटरकनेक्टेड पे श्री कैनेडी डी सिल्वा सर से। प्रेजेंटली डायरेक्टर जॉन पॉल टू फाउंडेशन फॉर स्पोर्ट्स गोवा, former director of Sports Goa University, director Don Bosco College of Physical Education Goa, Executive Secretary Goa Football Development Council, worked with the UN organizations on AIDS awareness, presently on the Global Sports Movement Council representing India internationally, founder of several sports promotion organization and involved with the first Unity World Cup organized in India in 2014 and presently on the Global Executive Council. He was a footballer in Mumbai playing for various teams in the new non-existent Harwood League. Now well into his 50s, the competitive side of Kennedy De Silva sir has kicked in again and he has new broken records and can a source of inspiration to everyone in the state. During the COVID-19 period, he has able to set quite a few walking records. He walked a mind-numbing 2000 kilometers in 96 days. In the month of October itself, he walked 877 kilometers, which worked out to around 5 hours 35 minutes walking every day. Now, sprightly 67 walking has had a dramatic effect on his physique. He participated athletic events from all India University and stood first, then represent India in the international level. He organized many programs in 2005 with collaboration of United Nation declared year 2005 as a sport and physical education year. So हम यहाँ पर सर का स्वागत करेंगे। हमारे साथ सर जो है वो जुड़ चुके हैं।
Thank you. I'm really grateful to the JNV Commissioner, Shri Vinayak Garg ji, under whose guidance this entire program of this Fit India Week is being celebrated. To over 2 lakh students, I'm told, of the JNV, and also to the many others, including those on the administration, the teaching faculty, and others. I really want to thank the JNV Samiti, Madam Sarkar, who is the consultant of the NVH headquarters in Noida, and to all the JNV PETs across the country. My special thanks also goes to the venue school principal, Sir S.V. Patil ji, who is the principal at JNV Gir Somnath in Gujarat. I have a very special mention to make also for my dear friend Neeraj Jani, who has been a kind of a student and a disciple to me in the past, from the JNV Gir Somnath, whom I trained at the JNV Leadership Training Institute in Goa many years ago. So I thank all of you, and especially the organizers, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this topic. Lecture to be on emotional and physical well-being are well connected. I have been given to understand that in the past 2 days, Dr. Arjun Sinha Rana ji, Miss Kavita Sulanki, and Dr. Hetal Saraya have already spoken on several topics on this Fit India movement, especially week that is being celebrated by the JNVs. And I heard them, and I'm excited that will be an attraction to all because mentions have had taken place about the continuous work that our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji has been doing throughout the nation to build a fit India. And also the different leaderships at the state level in Gujarat and elsewhere, there has been a wonderful response from every quarter of the country. And with the Fit India movement itself that has been started so rigorously with complete passion for building up a nation which is healthy and fit because of the initiative taken by our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji. It has been a privilege this morning to become a part of this session and talk about emotional health and physical well being, which are interrelated. Let me quickly tell you that, friends, you know what, we have teachers today, we have students today, and mostly I would like to address the students in particular because that's the bigger audience that we have this morning. What is emotional health? It's basically related. If you go to look at the positive side of it, then it's about good emotions, meaning people who are able to cope up with abilities. They have a high self esteem. Their performances and productivity at work is long lasting. However, with those who are on the negative side of the emotional well being, we could say that stress, depression, and anxiety are some of those issues that you will find people who go through in their day to day lives. It can contribute mainly to digestive disorders. There's a lot of sleep disturbance and lack of energy among those who are on the negative side of the emotional health and well being. How do you cope up with all of this? One of the things that I have been involved with in my own personal life, I just would like to give you a case study of things that I felt. I'm now around 57 to 58 years old, and I have been a sports person in my life as a youngster, and then even got involved in a lot of sport activities. And just as a case study, probably this would help you to understand, friends, that how do I try to keep up and cope up with my emotional health. Physical activity is so very important, and especially when we look at this COVID-19 pandemic that has hit the global scenario ever since February of 2020, and things becoming worst lately, if of what we have heard in the United Kingdom and other places. This morning, I would like to share something about my own personal experience about this time of the COVID 19. Let me tell you, friends, I was almost about 92 kgs before the pandemic. But today, I stand tall at 77 kgs, dropping down by almost about 15 to 16 kgs of my body weight. And how did I achieve this? Purely, why did I achieve this? How did I achieve this? Is the thing that I would like to share with you, friends, this morning. What is the thing that happened was everybody was in the lockdown. You could not get out from your homes and all that. However, in Goa, where I live, I had this privilege in my own house and in my vicinity to walk around the place very freely because we are not a thickly populated place like others in different other parts of the country. we are more density population wise, we are very small. And therefore, it was easier for me to do things as far as my fitness was concerned. And day by day, I got into walking and into physical activity because I've been a sports person. It was not difficult for me to do that. And therefore, what I realized was if I could do something to build up my immunity, which means also when everybody's so stressed out during this COVID times about the situation that's going on presently across the globe, it was important for me to keep my stress levels down, to keep the my immunity at the highest levels. So I chose to do walking every day. And initially, it started with just about 30 to 45 minutes. But during this entire time, I went on to even get some records to be done, though it was not intentional. I had no intentions of getting into any records business. However, when I started doing it, and now that I see, by October 31st, I had covered 2,000 kilometers in 96 days. And it was almost more than a million steps in the month of October itself that I had walked. On 2nd of October, I happened to organize a peace walk. And in one day itself of 2nd October, I walked 74 kilometers. And that was something which really gave me a motivation. And it really built up my self esteem to the highest levels, friends. And you know what? At the end of the month of October, I had walked 877 kilometers. Now, why did I do this and what has it helped me in? The biggest thing was I had nobody to walk along with me most of the times, though at few times we had friends who came along and tagged along and they joined. When people were there along with me, it was good time to have discussions on many things that are happening, both at my own personal levels as well as at the social level, at the community level, at different levels, nationally and internationally, and of course, locally as well. But when I was alone and I was walking, this was a good time to look at my own self. Emotions is all about yourself, and you will better understand that if we do not keep and take care of our emotional health, then we are in deep trouble. Now, what happened during these walks? I had ample of opportunity to meditate and see the number of people with whom I may have had issues and problems. I know none of us are ab- absolutely clean in everything that happens around us. There may be friends, there may be family members, there may be people in our offices, in our colleges, in universities, wherever we work, and all that, that we could have problems in the marketplace as well. Now, what happens with this? Every time you have somebody with an unforgiveness in your heart, it really puts you in deep stress. What happens is deep stress is created because when a person whom you are not happy with walks on the other side and comes towards you, you just try to move out from that path. Why? You just turn down or you take another path to avoid that person. By doing this, what happens? There are some chemical reactions that take place in your body and which create an imbalance on the metabolic state, on different states of yours, and thereby stress is created. However, the moment I decided to look at the people in my own life with whom I had problems, it was easier for me to attack those problems. And how did I do that? It is purely by going down and saying sorry to such people who I may have intentionally or non intentionally must have said something wrong, must have made some comments, spoken something wrong. and I had absolutely no problems in doing so. What happens with this? A long relationship which was broken is now once again, because of my attitude of just being humble and saying sorry to people, it has once again developed and we have become friends. You know what? It's so difficult in this world today to live purely by friendship. At every stage, you will find people who are in different ways troubling you. You feel that, am I at peace? And that peace is what everybody is looking for, especially to my teachers who are working at the Navodaya Vidyalayas across India, to also the administration, and to my student friends. Just want to say, if you want to be emotionally healthy, if you want to have a good well being of your emotions, the first thing is simply to be humble enough to accept and acknowledge that I am not always right. I make mistakes. And when we do this, you know what? You are already creating an aura around you. You're already creating a positive energy around you, which helps to bring in the well being of yourself. But when does this happen? It is only when you take time. And one of the ways yoga is definitely one of those best ways of meditation that India and even our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji has been taking to the global world today. And all over the world, yoga has been accepted so strongly. I heard Sir Amar Singh the other day, and he was talking about how yoga could help, how fitness could help in all this. But my personal experience at this point of time is that just yesterday, when I was looking at the number of days that I had been walking, I was able to cover 3,000 kilometers in 150 days. 3,000 kilometers in 150 days. Now, those kilometers is not important, but I can see for myself that I've become a more productive person. I think I'm a much fitter person in terms of looking at stress related issues because I can face them directly. Well, friends, this morning, the simplest thing that you can do is, without any cost, without any this thing hindrance and problems, you can just go out and walk anywhere. It doesn't take you a lot of facility. It doesn't take you a lot of money to invest for your equipment, for your for your dress code, etc., etc. Just that you can go ahead and do it. Even Mahatma Gandhi ji used to walk regularly every day after day because he was interested in his health, in his well being. And his emotional well being was definitely where I read in one of those articles that he possessed that because even when he was in South Africa and in different parts of the world, and especially during all the movements that he organized in India, it was that which gave him the strength, was his walking. I don't want to say that walking is the only way, but I definitely would suggest that it is the simplest and the easiest way to handle your mental health. I would just like to tell the students, friends, every family member at home has a lot of physical disorders. Today, we are struggling as one of the nations which is called the diabetic capital of the world. And I remember in the year 2008, I had done my first long walk of 106 kilometers across the state of Goa, right from the south of Goa, the Kankon, where you have the JNV in Kankon, right from there to Perne, which is on the other side of Goa in the north. I remember some friends of mine from JNV had come to this walk on that day on 25th January 2008. and they had been a part of my work from JNV because I had trained some of those teachers there, and it was really a privilege for me to have the JNV staff joining me at that time in that 106 kilometers walk. Why did I do that? Is to talk about the health of every single person. It is, we are a diabetic capital of the world. Every sixth or seventh person in this nation has diabetes. Students, I'm sure your parents today or your elders in the family, whether it is your grandparents, whether it is your uncles and aunts, whether it is your dad, mom, and whoever in the family, they could have been attacked with this severe problem of diabetes. It is through that our emotional health as well gets disturbed. When your physical health is disturbed, your emotional health automatically gets stressed out. Therefore, the simplest thing that you can easily do, and anybody can do, is just to get out and walk 30 to 45 minutes every day. With that, you are able to cope up and do things very much in a healthy manner because you breathe fresh, good air, unless you are staying in polluted cities. We are right now in the pandemic, not yet completely out of it, and therefore the vehicles on the roads, the traffic is much lesser. And I'm privileged to be in Goa. And for me, it's much easier that I can really breathe fresh, good air in Goa. The one more thing that I would like to suggest is that tell your parents 30 to 45 minutes every day, because of the lack of physical inactivity that we are involved today, because everything is in the gadgets that we do today. Everything is just at the press of the button. And therefore, the physical health is not being taken care of. Now, because there is a lack of physical well being, it also is connected directly with the mental health and well being. What happens is you get stressed out, you get insomnia, you are sleepless, you have all sorts of tensions, disorders that keep cropping up into your life. So, what happens with all of this is that you really are not in a good mood every moment, every time. चिड़चिड़ापन आ जाता है. You feel so angry at times, you feel so anxious at times, you feel so down, your esteems are down, you are not confident about things that are happening, and all sorts of things. I The whole issue is that we can always see, you know what, the important thing is, friends, if we are, let me take you to an example. I know that I had problems with some of my people, and I decided to even go down and wash the feet of those people just to say a sorry. Because if that meant that if I can be humble enough to say sorry and get forgiveness from that people, that will really, really help me to grow in my emotional health. Because that helps me to build up my relationship once again with somebody with whom I cannot look face to face. Friends, you know what? We are in the field of sport, and the sports field is called a school of life. We can really build up on our value systems when we are on the sports field. Coaches, PE teachers, and all of you definitely are in the scope of training your young students about winning and losing. And there is no other better way to do this but to accept and acknowledge that we cannot be champions all the time. We have to lose. We have the days when we are victorious. But victory is not about one day. Champions are not always permanent. Even the best of best athletes of the world have done badly on some day. And somewhere in life, they have to quit the game because they are no more performers. However, you know what? If people compete against themselves and say that I want to be a better person than what I was yesterday, it will help us to be things doing well than what we were. Let me tell you, friends, it's so very important that we must get into this habit of saying thank you, saying sorry, saying, every moment there is an opportunity to be grateful to the people in our lives. Students, I know your teachers, your administration have been paying a lot of attention upon your careers, upon your future, upon your life. And are you thankful enough to them? If you are, I believe, like your Commissioner Ji, Garg Ji, he has taken this initiative, driven this program so that all of you, maybe more than 2 lakh of students across India, would be having a healthy mindset, a very healthy, emotional, stabilized mindset that will keep you going all your life. And it's such a privilege, to tell you that, friends, every time when we just lower ourselves, humble ourselves, there we rise up to another level in front of the people whom we say sorry to. uh, I didn't speak too many things. I think I only spoke on one aspect. There are multiple aspects that we can look at, but you know what, the moment we acknowledge that we are not the best, we are not the, up more the best people in doing things, then what happens is, when we acknowledge that we are small, but if we start dreaming big, there's a beautiful proverb which I learned many years ago when I was in Singapore. It said, dream something so big for God that if God is not in it, let there be a big doom. I can say, dream something so big for the country that if God is not for the country and is not there in that program, let there be a big doom. And I know for sure our Honorable Prime Minister Ji, Narendra Modi Ji, has been thinking of a nation that's going to be big, that's going to be looking at a healthy lifestyles of every single person. There may be issues, there may be problems, but we will overcome them someday. And I'm sure and confident that you students, my dear friends and teachers, my colleagues in the administration, and so on and so forth, once again, a very, very big thank you for having given me this opportunity to be on this talk on emotional health and physical well being, which are interrelated. Let me tell you, friends, that every day's exercise, every day's, if you can go to the gym, if you can play a sport, if you can do even the routines of your home, yoga would be the best, I would say, at least in the mornings every day. You choose on a time, you choose 30 minutes to 45 minutes every day. Get into onto your feet and start working. And it's not only for the able bodied people, but it's also for the disabled. There are different ways and different means of doing it. My time is too short that I can speak on areas which really need. But let me tell you once again, if you have a problem with somebody, just go down and say sorry to that person. Even you are not mistaken, probably the other person may be mistaken, but there is no harm in just saying, you know what, I am wrong, I was wrong, please forgive me. That person will come to know whether who was wrong and still forgive you or ask forgiveness from you itself. That will bring a very good emotional stability of your whole well being. This can be achieved very easily and mainly through physical exercises. When your body is strong, automatically your mind becomes strong. A healthy body and a healthy mind, they go hand in hand. And therefore, let me once again tell you, friends, get to work today itself. Don't wait. There is no tomorrow, because every day probably is the last day for us in our lives. We do not know. But to make a life longer, only if you make a today well decided that I want to do better, then our tomorrow is with a full of hope. There's more to see and better things to do. Friends, I just want to once again say a big thank you to the entire organizing committee on this talk. And God bless you all. Have a wonderful day and looking forward. If you have some questions, you can always put it up to the organizing committee and they will send it to me. We'll try to answer in future through emails or whatever is possible in ways that the organizing team thinks it right. And I will be more than happy to just help you with small things that I can try and talk to you. But thank you and God bless you. Thanks a lot.